It's Mike with It's Pittsfield Tonight. It is Sunday, July 26th, and I'm going to jump right into it. So this video is going to be about one specific topic, and that is the polls I put out on the page the past 2 days. I put out two polls that I know a lot of you or many of you saw them. The first one is a mayoral poll, and the second one is a city council poll. Before I get into that, there were a few people that made me laugh saying, this is negative and this is bad, which killed me because both of these polls I got from two different places. One of them came from Gallup and one of them came from Quinnipiac. They're basic standard political polls from two of the most reputable pollsters in the country. Gallup polls and Quinnipiac polls are like the standard in polling, in political polling. So I found it funny that some people either didn't read what the polls were, or a few people went on this thing about, I like this in Pittsfield, and I like the schools, and I like roads, and all this stuff, but they didn't actually just answer the poll because, again, these were basic polls. The first one said, how would you rate Mayor Peter Marchetti's overall job performance? And you could choose from excellent, good, neutral, poor, or unsure, no opinion. And there was a few specifics. What is the primary reason for your rating? Economic development, public safety, roads and infrastructure, city finances, taxes, downtown development, communication and transparency, housing, or other. Basic poll. That one had a much higher sample rate. Both of them performed really well because all I was trying to do was get a sample rate of 100. That one got 152 or so comments on the main page. Then through shares, I think it picked up another 50 or 60 comments. And then people sending messages into the page, I think was 74 came in that way. So it was a really decent sample rate. That one, I was surprised really at the result of that, where it had the mayor down to not the best approval rating. But again, there were some people that wanted to get on there and try to devalue other people's opinions. It's a poll when you're specifically asking people their opinion on job performance. There was no, the negativity or people being rude and nasty and all that. I don't allow that on here. So, you know, I moderate the page pretty heavily. And I felt like it was an honest poll. People put their opinion. That's what I asked for. And then the second one I did was a Pittsfield City Council performance poll. And that one specifically said, how would you rate the overall performance of the Pittsfield City Council as a whole? Excellent, good, neutral, poor, or no opinion. And that gave some specifics that you could choose from. It said, reason for your rating. They listen to residents. They make thoughtful decisions. They work well together. They are responsive to community concerns. They are transparent. They focus on the right priorities. They are ineffective. They are too political. They don't listen to residents or other. So it had everything on the gamut. You could choose from excellent down to poor and everything in between. Again, a basic poll. That came from Quinnipiac. And there was a few people on there who obviously didn't read it or were missing the point of a poll. There's nothing negative about people having an opinion, especially when you're asking for it. And I was asking for it. But with that one, the city council actually didn't do too bad. And there was a few councilors on there that had exceptionally high ratings. Kathy Amuso was one of them. A few people commented, I think 5 or 6 people messages that came in saying she's incredibly responsive. So out of every counselor that was mentioned, Kathy Amuso had the highest rating on there. I would put, based off that poll, I think I had figured out the stats, but her approval was like 60-something%. That's good. That is good. That's what you want to see. And that's valuable information. And that, with polling, all that's valuable information. For one, you're asking for public participation. When people don't comment or don't get involved, that's when you worry. When you have people actually getting involved, whether you like their response or not, they take the time to answer those. That means they care about the community. So there's issues at hand that they care about. That's not people being unfair or negative, or a few of those messages that I saw saying this isn't doing a service to the community. That's absolutely ridiculous as could be. Political polling is a standard in politics, and there's a lot of valuable information that you can get from that, whether it be candidates putting together campaign strategies, incumbents looking at what public perception is, and what are the main issues at hand, all that. So I am going to invite Mayor Marchetti. I'm going to share this poll results with him and see if he would like to come on and we can do an interview. I want to talk about some of those things. And I am going to reach out to some of the city councilors as well. And that was the reason. I am a political junkie to start with. I love politics. And these polls give me a lot of information. Next year is going to be a campaign election year. So going into a campaign year, I like keeping stats on all this stuff and seeing where things are. Polls fluctuate. If you take our state polls, I think there was a Gallup poll and a Pew poll on that had the Governor Healy, over the past few months, took a nosedive. And there were certain issues that tanked her in polling. I think she's up a few points since then, but she was one of the highest rated governors in the country. And then she took a huge tailspin. And one of it was a former staffer of hers that got in some trouble. And then, of course, the state audit. That's a big one for her. So there you go. These polls have, they provide a lot of valuable insight into what's happening. So if you haven't seen them, just scroll down on the Facebook page. That's where they are. This is primarily a Facebook poll. That's where 98% of the audience is. YouTube is about 800 followers. I think TikTok maybe around 1,500 or so. Instagram around 800 or so. Facebook's closing in on 14,000. So we're getting there with that group. And that's why this poll I geared towards that. And the stats that they allow you to monitor gives me insight into age demographic, who they are, where they live, the whole deal. It gives you a lot of information that you can use. So to the people that, again, thought that was negative, and they put these huge comments about things happening in other communities and people need to get involved and all that. That's great that you feel that way, and I would agree with some of that. But it was a poll specifically asking people for their opinion. So put your opinion on there if you want to. Don't worry about trying to correct somebody else's opinion. Everybody is entitled to their opinion. And as long as people aren't being rude or nasty or vulgar, I'm okay with it. I think I've covered all that before in other videos. It's the rude and nasty stuff that I don't like. And I don't like people going after other people on the page. If you don't like what someone commented, don't worry about it. Comment your own thing. But don't attack each other, especially when it's a post like these that are polls specifically asking people for their input. So to the people who, for whatever reason, thought that was negative, not to be rude, but I think that's ridiculous. Polling is a standard in politics. It just is. And I've been doing these polls. I've been doing this for 11 years, the whole It's Pittsfield Tonight thing. This is 11 years for me. The Facebook page, when I shut it down from my personal page and opened it, It's Pittsfield Tonight as its own platform, that's almost 9 years ago. So I started going into the 2015 season, that campaign season, with Dan Bianchi when he was the mayor, and that kind of tailspinned me into all of this. That's how I got into this in Pittsfield. But I've been involved in politics my entire adult life. But anyway, that is that. So if you haven't seen those polls, scroll down on the Facebook page. There's one, and they're right next to each other. One's right next to the other. And if you want to participate, please do. Keep it respectful, but feel free to put your opinion on there, how you would rate them and why. All right, so that's it for now. We got nice weather today, and it looks like we're going to have nice weather this week. So get outside and enjoy yourself. Enjoy the summer while you can. It seems to go by quickly. So get some sun, do some yard work, whatever it is you got to do. Be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and I'll catch you all in the next day or two.